This segment is brought to you by Buick, exceptional by design. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Bayou Time. I'm Martin Folse, and I promised you a couple of weeks ago that we'd have the two candidates for clerk of court to come on and have a little more extended time individually for themselves so that they could answer a few more questions so that you can make a good vote about our next clerk of court. And Miss Jodie Burton is here today. Jodie, it's good to see you.
It's nice to be here. Thank you for having me, Morton.
You're quite welcome. So let's learn a little bit about Jodie. I'm sure people that work with you, around you every day, already know you, but there's a lot of people out there in the voting audience that probably don't know a lot about you. So Let's start with family. Talk about your family a little bit.
Well, I am married to Kevin Burton. He's been in the air conditioning business for 30 somewhat years. And together we have 4 children. We have 10 beautiful grandkids, spoil them rotten, and 1 great grandbaby. I graduated from South Terrebonne High School in 1981. And on my off time, I love cooking. I have a passion for cooking. I was born and raised in Chauvin. And my grandmothers used to flip wooden Coke boxes upside down by the stove so we could stand and help stir the pots. So we have a love for cooking in that family, and I love to be involved with meeting people, solving problems, things like that. On my off time, I just like to take it easy. We like to ride around and travel different plantation houses and see older homes, and I love stuff like that. So that's
What's your favorite meal to cook?
I would have to say it would be a jambalaya.
All right.
That's my favorite.
You make a mean jambalaya?
I do.
All right. Yeah, nobody's going to want to vote for somebody that doesn't make a mean jambalaya, right?
Not in this part of the country.
Okay. Let's talk about the importance of, I guess, institutional continuity when you're talking about something so important as the clerk's office. There's going to be campaigns and people want to differentiate, this and that with the office, but there still has to remain some continuity to the office. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, that's a very important factor in the clerk of court's office, in that when you're learning how to do each step of the process that's involved in different proceedings, regardless if it's a civil, criminal matter, recording land documents, canceling mortgages, there are so many details that go into learning the process of what is actually acceptable by statute, because everything we do is regulated by statute. The clerk oversees all of this in that they have to make sure they stay up on the latest revisions in the laws, make sure the staff is properly trained in executing this. Continuity in that office is key to the success of the office. Without the continuity, it would be a lot of turnover, and that is something we simply don't have in the clerk's office. When people come, they typically stay.
All right, let's do this. We're going to take a short break. I'm going to take a break early because I want to have extended second segment. So we'll take a break. We'll come right back with Jodie Burton, candidate for clerk of court. Don't go away. This segment was brought to you by Buick, exceptional by design. All right, welcome back as we continue to interview Jodie Burton, who's a candidate for clerk of court. And of course, she has an opponent in this race, Jerome Zarang. You can see that on another segment here on Bayou Time. Neither candidate knows the questions or knows what the other one said. That's how we do it at HTV, and that's the only fair way. So let's talk about, you haven't held the office too, so both of you have not held the office.
That's correct.
So obviously, when you take over, you would have a record. Right now, you don't have a record, but I'm sure you've seen some things that you would tweak or maybe change if you were the clerk of court. What
Absolutely.
are they?
That's a great question, Morton. You know, as the chief deputy overseeing the office right now under Ms. Robichaud, I've had the opportunity to look at these programs and see what's working and what we could probably enhance to better serve the community. Today, we do record sharing to all of the different agencies, including the judges, the parish government, the district attorney, sheriff, and the assessor, to keep the continuity and the flow of these public records between these offices available. What I would like to change is possibly taking a look at a program that would better implement the programs in our judiciary. Several years ago, there was a program that was introduced as Rapid Minutes, and it was actually toured by the judges, the sheriff's office, the clerk went and toured it. We were all, the district attorney also has to be on board. We were all on board with this, but there was a couple of hiccups in it in that some of the judges weren't ready to implement that program. We were totally ready. What I would like to do is maybe approach the judges and maybe come up with some type of compromise to implement this program, because it would benefit all of the agencies involved to have this type of record sharing in our criminal proceedings. Because let's face it, just last year alone, this last fiscal year, we had over 14,000 new criminal bills filed in the clerk of court's office, felonies, misdemeanors, and traffic. That's a lot of new criminals per se. That's not cases that have carried over from one year to the next. So any type of program that we can put in place to alleviate some of the stress load on both our minute clerks, the sheriff's office, and the DA's office would be a huge benefit. As far as our public records are concerned, we're continually back scanning those documents. We're looking for different avenues to even put more types of records online to make it accessible from the convenience of your home or office. So there's a few things I would like to plug in there.
Okay. You've been there since you're 17?
17 years old.
So give me a timeline of your 44 years.
Well, at 17, Mr. Bobby Boudreau hired me the day after I graduated from high school, and I've never left. I started as a typist in the mortgage department, worked my way up in that department, became their supervisor when the lady who used to do it retired, Miss Janet Bergeron, and I supervised that department for about 30 years. And when I was learning that department, it also gave me the opportunity to learn more on our recording department, our map department, our civil department. I took the initiative to learn it. I don't like grass growing under my feet per se. The more you know, the better you are in that office. And it's a benefit to the customers you're serving at the same time. So when Teresa Robichaud was elected as clerk, she asked me to come on as her chief deputy because the current chief deputy was going to be retiring. So I agreed to do that. And in doing that, I was actually able to learn the financial aspects of the office, the budgets. I mean, all of the operating contracts, the technological advancements, you know, in putting different software in place. I was able to not only learn the different departments in that time, but now in the last 13 years, serving as the chief deputy, have handled the day-to-day operations of this office.
You lead me right to my next question. What are the budgets of the clerk? Or a lot of people probably don't know that.
The budget on the clerk's office fluctuates. You don't have a set budget every year. Typically, the clerk's office operates between a $3 and $5 million budget out of the salary fund. And this can fluctuate on a yearly basis. For instance, Hurricane Ida hits. We're down for 3.5 weeks, no power to the building, which means when we're closed, there are zero revenues coming into the office. The clerk's office self-generates its own revenues. We don't depend on taxpayer dollars. So when there's no income coming in, your budget just got shot right out the window. So you have to have a plan in place to accommodate some type of disaster like that. When COVID hit and we were mandated to work skeleton crews to be able to alleviate contamination and what have you, we had to make adjustments in that budget to accommodate those factors. So basically, on a year-to-year basis, You're hoping to deal with a solid 4.5 million, but you just don't know. And with the downturn in the economy, that's also
How
playing
many
a factor.
employees do they have?
54.
54.
We have
Okay.
downsized from 70-something employees to 54.
Okay. So let me ask you, you've had a chance to work for Mr. Bobby Boudreaux,
Yes.
the legendary Bobby Boudreaux,
Yes.
and Teresa Robichaux, who, has become legendary in her own right. What have you learned from both? How did they differ, and which parts did you pick up?
Mr. Boudreaux was probably one of the best men I've ever met in my life. He never met a stranger, as you know. And if you tried to avoid him, he was going to seek you out. That's just how he was. He had a very funny sense of humor. He always had a Boudreaux joke for you. He could tell when he'd walk into a room, if you were having a day that was just bogged down in work, he'd come and crack a joke to lighten it up for you. He had that way of bringing out the best in people. Now, Mr. Boudreaux did not like technology. He thought his pencil was his technology back then, But he was more of a public figure in that office. We used to laugh that front counter, when you'd walk into that courthouse and you looked off to that first office on the right, 9 times out of 10, you were going to see Mr. Boudreaux at that counter. Yeah. He was the one waiting on the public. He was the one making your copies. He was doing whatever you needed him to do. Ms. Robichaux has ran a very conservative office. She has implemented different policies and procedures to guide the employees, because in today's day and time, it's just necessary with an office of that size to have policy and procedure. She's done a fantastic job. We have worked together in the last 13 years to take an office that was borderline not good financially. We renegotiated contracts. We got rid of these good old boy deals. We found the best bang for our buck in different options with different companies. We implemented technology in that office. She was very progressive in pushing forward the advancement in this office. And I credit her for a lot of that, but working together with her was an absolute dream. It really was.
All right, what we're going to do, we're going to take a break here. We'll come back with our final segment with Jodie Burton, and we appreciate you joining us. And also, don't forget, you can catch these segments on Facebook and YouTube. We'll be right back. This segment was brought to you by Cypress Stop, home of the happy customer. All right, we are back with Miss Jodie Burton, and she, of course, is running for clerk of court, and Jerome Zarang is the other person involved in that race, so we'll have an interview with him also. But let me turn back to you, Jodie. On the first interview, I was able to take comments made and assess that there was some question about state funds or grants available to the clerk of court's office, and that maybe, I don't know, maybe y'all didn't take full advantage of, but I wanted to give you an opportunity, because we ran out of time on that first one,
Right.
to maybe explain that and put in your own words what you have done and maybe what fell short and what you could do if you were clerk of court.
Absolutely. The clerk's office has applied for at least 4 or 5 grants in the last 10-year period. There is an agency called Lecrae. It's the Louisiana Clerks Remote Access Authority. And basically, all of the clerks that participate in Lecrae have the availability of applying for different grants that are offered through Lecrae to do different types of projects. So, of course, we applied for one years ago, and remembering that the current clerk and I have renegotiated all these contracts to bring this office to a fiscally sound level now, we're on solid ground, we applied for the grants. The first grant we applied for, we did receive half of the funding to go ahead and proceed with that particular type of project. We had the balance of the funding available in our own funds. We proceeded. We applied for a second grant. We got 100% of that grant. Now, all the while, a couple years are passing by, and we're becoming more fiscally sound. We applied for the third grant. We got a small portion because when you submit your application for these grants, you also have to attach your financial spreadsheets, current ones. In seeing that, if you've got multiple parishes applying for a grant, because a grant is just that, it's to help an individual or organization implement a program that they normally wouldn't be able to do financially. When you've got 5 or 6 parishes applying and you've got Terrebonne sitting here that's fiscally sound, you're not going to get the money that the other 4 parishes are going to get if they're not financially sound. We were denied for the last grant because basically we're standing on solid ground now. So the grants are given in accordance with need financially to the parishes. I'm proud to say we're fiscally sound and we can do this on our own.
Okay. Let me ask you, in every election I've covered since '85, there's always some accusation. I don't know if I've ever had a race without at least one. And it may be subtle, it may be put on flyers, it may be put on TV commercials, whatever the case may be. Any accusations towards you or what you've done at the office that you would like to set the record straight on? Now would be a chance for you to turn around anything you think was maybe said unfair.
That's a great point, Morton. You know, the clerk of court is tasked with the responsibility entitled as the chief election officer. She takes her direct protocols for every election directly from the Secretary of State's office and operates in accordance with the election code, Title 18, that is voted on by the state legislature. There's no clerk in this state that can go rogue and create their own policies on election day. Uniformity is 100% mandated by the Secretary of State's office throughout the state of Louisiana. So in saying that, we have trained 390 somewhat commissioners to ensure that this election process goes smoothly on election day. I can assure you that elections in this parish are run with the highest level of integrity, respect, and accuracy. We have never in the history of Terrebonne Parish had any election overturned as a result of some faulty results that were turned in. Louisiana is actually ranked second in the nation for election integrity. So I'm very proud of our election commissioners and the job that our office does in executing those election duties. No clerk can make promises that can change an election process. It's regulated under Title 18.
Well, a lot of people watching, what exactly does a clerk do in a nutshell? We got a couple of minutes left.
Oh, we need a couple hours. The clerk can oversee everything from recording your bill of sales to donations to filing your mortgages, canceling your mortgages, any liens on your property. They take in all of the criminal filings from the district attorney's office on these new bills that are coming in. We accept civil lawsuits. We take care of the bookkeeping end on all of these advanced costs. We have all the maps. We have all of the historical records of our parish. We issue the jury summonses when you have service to do for your jury duty service, and we handle the elections. We do passports, we do birth certificates, we do marriage licenses and death certificates. It's just so many different things, and your clerk has to be 100% familiar with everything that that office does, because these employees come to you for guidance. You have to know what you're doing to lead them in the right direction.
Right. Jodie, we appreciate you coming by and sharing your thoughts with us. And it's a big, important office.
It is.
And we want to give you time. And of course, we give the opponent time too. But thank you so much for coming and joining us and sharing that with the people.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure, and I really hope that the voters get out there on October 11th and make the best decision for this parish.
All right. Thank you. Once again, Jodie Burton, candidate for Clerk of Court. And as always, all of our segments go on Facebook and YouTube. So check them out. You can share them and do whatever you want with them. And we appreciate it. We will have Jerome Zarang on another segment. Be looking for that. In total fairness to the candidates, thank you for joining us. Good night. This segment was brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs.